The concrete beneath you is wet, slick with something you don't want to identify. The walls lean inward, close enough that your shoulders almost brush brick and rusted metal at the same time. Above, the city roars, cars, sirens, laughter spilling from bars. But down here, the sound arrives muffled, as if the world has wrapped this place in duct tape and decided not to look too closely. Your phone shakes slightly in your hand. Not fear, cold, or maybe it's the way your body reacts when it knows something irreversible is about to happen. You don't point the camera yet. You're not ready for what's in front of you. The dog is pressed against the far wall, folded into himself like he's trying to take up less space than his own shadow. His ribs map themselves clearly beneath dull, tight skin, each breath pulling his sides inward too far, too fast. One ear hangs wrong, scar tissue tugging it downward, and his back leg is bent at an angle that makes your knee ache in sympathy. He lifts his head when you shift your weight. Not quickly, not with hope, just enough to confirm you're real. His eyes are cloudy, not from age, but from exhaustion so deep it looks permanent. When he blinks, it's slow, deliberate, like blinking costs him something he can't afford. You swallow! The air down here smells like rot and old rain and something faintly metallic. Blood, maybe, or fear. You've learned those two often smell the same. Behind you, a woman's voice cuts through the quiet. Don't move too fast. You know her voice by heart. She's standing just outside the mouth of the alley, half in shadow, half in the weak spill of a flickering streetlight. In her 50s. Strong hands, hair pulled back tight, streaked with gray she never bothers to hide. People here call her Maribel. Some call her worse things. Most just call when they're out of options. You turn your head slightly, enough to acknowledge her without taking your eyes off the dog. He's worse than yesterday, you say. Maribel exhales through her nose, not a sigh. A calculation. Yeah, she says, but he's still breathing. That counts for something. The dog tries to stand. It's not dramatic. No whimper, no collapse. Just a slow, trembling effort that ends with his paw slipping on the wet concrete. He steadies himself against the wall, then gives up and lowers back down, chest heaving harder now. Your fingers curl involuntarily. You think about all the footage you've seen online. Rescues with swelling music. Perfect before and after cuts. Hands reaching in at just the right moment. This won't be like that. There is no crew here. No drone. No clean angle. Just you, Maribel, and a dog the city already forgot. You finally raise your phone. The red light blinks on. Later, much later, this moment will become the opening shot. People will assume it was staged that way, that you knew how it would end. You don't. Right now, all you know is that if you don't record this, it will disappear, like everything else down here. The dog's gaze flicks to the phone, then away. He doesn't flinch, doesn't growl, doesn't plead. Indifference is worse. You lower yourself another inch, making yourself smaller, non-threatening. You've learned that posture matters more than words. Hey, you murmur, not expecting a response. It's okay. We're not here to take anything from you. Maribel snorts softly behind you. Don't lie to him, she says. We're about to take his whole life and flip it upside down. The dog's nose twitches. Not at your voice. At the bag in Maribel's hand. Kibble. Cheap. Carefully rationed. She kneels too, slower than you, joints complaining. She pours a small pile onto a scrap of cardboard she pulled from a dumpster an hour ago. Easy, she says. No rushing. The dog stares at the food. 30 seconds pass. A full minute. You feel your heartbeat in your throat. Somewhere above, a bus hisses to a stop. Someone laughs too loudly. Finally, impossibly, the dog drags himself forward. Each movement looks negotiated, as if his body holds meetings before allowing him to continue. He lowers his head, sniffs, then eats with a restraint that breaks your heart more than desperation would have. No gulping, no guarding. He knows better than to assume there will be more. You glance at Maribel. She's watching his shoulders, the way they tremble, the way his back leg barely touches the ground. Malnutrition, she says quietly. Months at least. That leg was broken once. Never set right. Can he? Your voice catches before the question finishes. She hears it anyway. He can survive, she says, if that's what you're asking. You nod, because nodding is easier than trusting your voice. The dog finishes eating and steps back, curling into himself again. His eyes never leave the cardboard. You stop recording for now, because this part isn't for the audience. This part is for you. 6 months from now, people will argue about who saved him. They'll comment things like faith in humanity restored, and this is why community matters. None of them will mention the alley. None of them will smell the rot or feel the way the walls pressed in, or notice how the dog never once wagged his tail that first night, not because he was aggressive, but because he had forgotten how. You stand slowly, joints stiff from holding yourself still. What's the plan, you ask? Maribel straightens with a groan. Same as always. We do what we can with what we have. That's not a plan. She looks at you then, really looks. Her eyes are sharp, but there's something else there too. A question she hasn't asked out loud. You're the one with the phone, she says. What do you think? You glance back at the dog, at the way his breathing has slowed now that his stomach isn't empty, at the way he hasn't run, you say, or snapped, or given up. You hesitate. What if we don't do this the usual way? Maribel raises an eyebrow. There is no usual way down here, she says. You turn the phone over in your hands. The screen reflects your face, tired, smudged, determined in a way that scares you a little. What if, you say carefully, we let them help? She doesn't answer immediately. Above you, a siren whoops and fades. Help how? She asks. You gesture vaguely toward the maze of makeshift shelters beyond the alley, tents tucked under overpasses, rooms built from scavenged plywood, people who pool coins for coffee, for medicine, for funerals. For once, you say, not as a sob story, but as the reason this works. Maribel looks back at the dog, at his too thin frame, his crooked leg. Her jaw tightens. You're talking about asking people who have nothing, she says slowly, to give. I'm talking about giving them something to give to, you reply. Silence stretches. Then Maribel nods once. All right, she says, but if we do this, we do it right. She steps back into the alley, closer to the dog, and crouches again. He watches her, wary but present. You hear that, buddy? She murmurs. Looks like you're about to become everybody's problem. The dog doesn't react. Not yet. You lift your phone again. The red light blinks on. You frame the shot. Not just the dog, but the alley, the walls, the space the city forgot. Because if this is going to matter, people need to see where it starts. And somewhere deep in your chest, a thought takes root. Quiet but unstoppable. If this dog can come back from here, what else might be possible? Home is a flexible concept down here anyway. Rooms borrowed, couches rotated, spaces claimed and surrendered without ceremony. Instead, you follow Maribel deeper into the maze beneath the city, past the places that don't show up on maps. The dog limps between you, a strip of torn fabric looped loosely around his neck, not a leash so much as a suggestion. He resists at first, planting his paws, testing whether this is the moment the ground disappears beneath him. You wait him out. Every step forward is his decision. That matters. The corridor opens into a wider pocket beneath the overpass. Someone has swept recently. Someone always does. Pallets line the edges, layered with blankets, old mattresses, pieces of cardboard trimmed carefully to size. A string of mismatched lights hums overhead, powered by a line spliced from somewhere no one talks about. People look up as you enter. Conversations pause. A radio clicks off. A kid stops rolling a bottle cap across the concrete. They notice the dog first. They always do. You feel their eyes tracking his ribs, his gait, the way his head stays low even when nothing threatens him. Recognition passes across faces, not pity exactly, but familiarity. They've seen that look in mirrors, in each other. Maribel raises her hand in a casual greeting. Found him 2 nights ago, she says, voice carrying just enough. He's sticking around. A man with a gray beard leans forward on his crate. Looks rough. Yeah, Maribel replies. So do most of us on a bad day. A few people chuckle. The tension eases. You stop near the center, kneeling again so you're eye level with the dog. He sinks down beside you, close enough that his shoulder presses lightly against your knee. It surprises both of you. You don't move. Someone hands Maribel a dented bowl. Someone else produces water. The dog drinks slowly, carefully, as if the ground might punish him for greed. You film none of this, not yet. Because this part, the way people rearrange themselves without being asked, the way no one questions why resources are being shared, isn't spectacle. It's muscle memory. Later, when the sun has fully disappeared and the city above glows orange, Maribel pulls you aside. We can't take him to a clinic like this, she says. Not without money. You nod. You already knew that. He needs exams, she continues. X-rays for that leg, blood work, real food. And that's before we talk about rehab. You lean back against a pillar, cold seeping through your jacket. How much? You ask. Maribel names a number. Your stomach tightens. That's a lot, you say. It's honest, she replies. I don't do miracles, I do math. You glance back at the group. The dog is curled up near a heater someone rigged from scrap metal. A woman hums under her breath while cleaning a cut on a teenager's hand. Someone else is fixing a shoe with dental floss. Math is happening everywhere you look. You pull out your phone again, not to film, but to check your balance. The number stares back at you, indifferent. It won't cover it, not even close. You think about sponsorships, grants, emails you could send, all the ways help usually arrives from somewhere else. Maribel watches your face. You had an idea earlier, she says. This is the part where you say it out loud. You hesitate. The idea feels heavier here, surrounded by the people it would involve. What if, you begin, then stop. Reset. What if we don't ask for him? She tilts her head. What if we ask with him, you say. You explain slowly, carefully, no buzzwords, no charity language, just the shape of the thought, a shared goal, documented honestly. Every dollar tracked, every appointment recorded, not framed as rescue from above, but care from within. Maribel doesn't interrupt. When you finish, she looks past you at the dog. They'll say no, she says. Some will. You agree. They don't have extra, she adds. They never do. Silence settles between you, thick but not hostile. Finally, she nods. All right, she says. We try it your way. You don't make a big announcement. That would be wrong. Instead, you sit on a crate and start filming yourself. The light is bad. The audio worse. You don't fix either. You speak plainly. You show the dog, his ribs, his leg, his eyes. You explain the plan, the cost, the timeline. You say, no pressure, and mean it. Then you do something that makes your hands sweat. You leave the camera running and set it down. Anyone who wants to, you say, stepping back, can say something, or not. That's fine too. At first, nothing happens. Then the man with the gray beard clears his throat. I got $5, he says. Not because I feel sorry for him, just because I know what it's like when nobody invests in you. A woman shakes her head, digs into her pocket. I don't have cash, but I can cook. If he needs special food, I can help. A teenager shrugs. I can walk him, keep him moving. Someone laughs nervously. Someone else wipes their face with the heel of their hand. You feel something shift, subtle, collective. Maribel steps forward last. She kneels beside the dog and rests a hand on his back. He flinches, then relaxes, just a fraction. We're doing this together, she says, which means we don't quit halfway. The dog lifts his head. For the first time, his tail moves. Not a wag, just a twitch. But everyone sees it. You and the recording there. That night, you lie awake listening to the sounds of the underpass. Dripping water, distant traffic, breathing. The dog sleeps nearby, curled tighter than seems comfortable, but breathing steadily. You check your phone. Notifications stack up faster than you expect. Small amounts, $5, $10, $1 with a note that says, wish it was more. You don't feel triumphant. You feel terrified. Because now this isn't just about a dog. It's about proving that the people the city ignores are capable of care, commitment, and follow-through. And if you fail, you close your eyes. The dog shifts in his sleep, leg twitching as if running somewhere safer. Tomorrow, you'll make the first appointment. Tomorrow, the real work begins. Morning arrives without ceremony. No sunrise reaches down here, no gentle color shift to announce a new day. Just a gradual thinning of the dark, the city above waking in layers. Traffic builds. Footsteps multiply. Someone coughs 2 pallets over. The dog lifts his head before you do, ears twitching at sounds you've learned to tune out. He remembers faster than you expect. You sit up slowly, joints stiff, phone already in your hand. The screen glows with numbers you checked too many times during the night. You didn't imagine it. The total crept past the first milestone sometime before dawn. Not enough, not even close, but enough to begin. Maribel is already on her feet, tying her hair back with practiced efficiency. She glances at your face, then at your phone. We go today, she says, not a question. The dog tries to stand when he sees movement. His back leg betrays him again, sliding sideways. He corrects, sets it down more carefully this time. Adapts. You notice that now. Everything is data suddenly. Getting him out of the hidden community is harder than you thought, not because anyone stops you, because the world above doesn't make room. Stairs feel steeper. Sidewalks feel narrower. People avert their eyes when they clock his condition, then glance back when they realize you're not rushing, not apologizing for his existence. You film in fragments, his paw on cracked pavement. Maribel's hands steady on the fabric loop, your own shadow stretching and shrinking with every step. The clinic smells like antiseptic and nervous animals. The dog freezes at the threshold. You kneel automatically, palm flat on the floor so he can sniff. He hesitates, then follows the scent, nails clicking softly. Every muscle in his body hums, ready to flee. You're okay, you whisper, though you don't know if that's true yet. The vet is younger than you expected. Calm. Efficient. She crouches too, meeting the dog at his level, letting him inspect her shoes. Severe malnutrition, she says after the initial exam, fingers gentle but thorough. Muscle wasting, likely chronic. She rotates his back leg slightly. He stiffens but doesn't snap. Old fracture, she continues. Healed poorly. We'll need imaging to know how much function we can restore. You glance at Maribel. She nods once. Do it. The dog watches you both as if trying to memorize your faces. They take him back. You sit in the waiting room, phone balanced on your knee, watching the door like you can. Will it open faster? Maribel stands, arms crossed, weight shifting subtly from foot to foot. The vet returns with printouts. Numbers, charts, timelines. You film them laid out on the table. The words underweight, anemia, rehabilitation protocol. You film Maribel's hands as she points to costs, asks questions. You film your own finger tapping the screen, updating the total. When you bring the dog back into the room, he walks slower, tired, but intact. He leans into Maribel when she crouches, pressing his head briefly against her knee. She stills, doesn't look at the camera. The first weeks blur together. You start a system because you have to. Every day, the dog is weighed on the same scale at the same time. The number is written down by hand in a notebook that smells faintly of coffee and oil. His meals are measured carefully, adjusted as his body learns to accept nourishment without panic. You film the bowl before, the bowl after. You film the way his coat begins to change, not all at once, but in patches. Dull fur giving way to something softer beneath, color returning in places you hadn't realized were faded. Behavior gets its own column. Day 7, no longer flinches when touched on left side. Day 12, initiates contact once, brief. Day 18, tail movement observed during play attempt. The community gets involved without being prompted. Someone volunteers to log walks. Someone else builds a ramp from scrap wood so stairs don't undo his progress. A woman who used to train dogs before her leg split open starts gentle exercises with him, slow stretches that make his leg tremble but hold. You film everything, not for drama, for proof. At night, you upload updates, raw, unpolished, totals rising in small, stubborn increments. Comments appear from outside, but the core support comes from inside. People you recognize adding dollars they could use elsewhere, leaving notes that say we're proud of him and tell him good job. You read them out loud sometimes. The dog doesn't understand the words, but he understands tone. Setbacks come quietly. A stomach issue that sends you back to the clinic. A night where he won't eat, body tense, eyes distant. You film those too, hands shaking just enough to show this isn't easy. Maribel catches you staring at him one evening, worry etched deep. You're doing that thing, she says. What thing? Carrying it all alone, she replies. She gestures around. At the people! At the charts taped to the wall. At the dog sleeping, chest rising and falling with more strength than before. You're not the only one responsible anymore, she says. You exhale, slow. Later, as you update the ledger, you notice something that stops you cold. The donations spike after bad days, after vet bills, after honest admissions that progress isn't linear. You understand then? This isn't about watching a miracle, it's about participating in a process. The dog limps over and settles beside you, heavier now, warmer. You rest your hand on his back. He stays. And for the first time since the alley, you allow yourself to imagine the end, not as a single triumphant moment, but as a series of small, earned ones. Tomorrow, they reassess his leg. Tomorrow, you find out how far he can really go. The reassessment doesn't feel dramatic. No swelling music, no sharp intake of breath from the vet, just the quiet hum of fluorescent lights and the dog standing on the exam mat, weight distributed more evenly now, like his body is slowly remembering rules. It forgot. You notice it before anyone says anything. He's not leaning as hard. The vet crouches, running her hands along his leg again, fingers tracing old damage with new context. The dog watches her closely, ears angled forward, alert but no longer braced for impact. That's improvement, she says almost casually. Maribel's shoulders drop an inch. You film the x-ray when it lights up on the screen? The fracture line is still there. History doesn't disappear, but there's adaptation around it, muscle returning, compensation turning into strength. He'll never be perfect, the vet continues. But functional? Yes. With consistent rehab. You nod even though your chest tightens on the word consistent. Consistency costs time, attention, energy, resources people down here are always told they lack. Back under the overpass, the notebook becomes sacred. Weights increase in half-pound increments. Food portions adjust. Walk times lengthen by minutes, not miles. Rehab sessions are logged with the seriousness of court records. You film the process, but something shifts in how you frame it. Less focus on the dog alone, more on hands holding stopwatches. On someone crouched beside him, counting softly. On the way, people argue gently about whether he's ready for more. The dog learns routines faster than you expect. Morning stretch, midday walk, evening food. He starts anticipating instead of reacting. The first time he brings the leash to someone, fabric loop clenched awkwardly between his teeth. The reaction ripples through the space like electricity. Laughter, hands flying to mouths. Someone swears under their breath. You almost forget the film. Almost. Money keeps coming in. Not fast, not flashy, but steady. You add a new page to the updates. Community contributions, not dollar amounts. Names, roles, hours spent walking, cooking, cleaning, logging data. People start referring to the dog as ours. You hear it in passing. Did you take ours out yet? Ours ate all his food today. Ours didn't limp as much. The pronoun matters. You realize something unsettling and exhilarating at the same time. They're not watching anymore. They're responsible. Not everyone is comfortable with that. A man you haven't seen before lingers near the edge one afternoon, arms crossed, eyes skeptical. "All this for a dog?" he mutters. The words hang there, sharp. No one jumps on him. Maribel answers, voice level. "Not just a dog," the man snorts. "Looks like charity to me." You feel heat rise in your neck, but before you speak, the woman who cooks special meals straightens. "It's practice," she says. "For what?" the man challenges. She gestures around. "At the organized space, the charts, the shared routines for taking care of things," she replies, "including ourselves." The man doesn't argue further. He leaves $1 in the jar before he goes. The dog hits a wall around week 10. It's subtle at first. A missed step, a hesitation before standing. The numbers flatten instead of climbing. You film the vet visit where the word plateau is used. You don't edit it out. That night, the community meeting is quieter. People look at the charts, at each other. You feel the weight of expectations settle, heavy and real. "What if this is it?" someone asks. Maribel doesn't rush to answer. The dog lies at her feet, head on his paws, eyes half closed but tracking voices. "Then this is still farther than where he started," she says, "and farther than anyone thought we'd go." Silence follows. "Not defeat, recalibration. You adjust goals, shorten walks. Add rest days. Bring in a volunteer physical therapist who heard about the project through someone's cousin." The dog responds slowly, but he responds. "One afternoon, months in, you catch something on camera by accident. Children are playing near the cleared space chalk on concrete, a ball rolling back and forth. The dog stands watching, tail low but moving. The ball rolls too close. He steps forward, not limping, running. It's awkward, uneven, but unmistakable. The children freeze, then laugh as he bats the ball clumsily with his paw. "You forget to breathe! The footage is shaky! Off center! Perfect!" That night, the donation total crosses the final treatment threshold. No one cheers, they just sit there, stunned, absorbing what the numbers mean. The dog settles among them, sprawling comfortably, taking up space he once tried to disappear from. You realize then that the recovery you've been measuring isn't just his, it's mirrored everywhere. Success is louder than failure. You didn't expect that. Failure happens quietly. Missed meals, slow steps, numbers that refuse to budge. Success shows up with opinions, with momentum, with people who weren't there at the beginning suddenly asking questions about the ending. The dog doesn't notice any of this. He's busy discovering grass, real grass, not the stubborn weeds that push through cracks under the overpass, but a rectangle of green beside a community center 3 blocks away. The first time his paws sink into it, he freezes, muscles locking as if the ground itself has betrayed him. You film from a distance. He lowers his head, sniffs, steps forward, stops again. Then he does something that tightens your throat without warning. He rolls, awkward, uncoordinated, legs sticking out at the wrong angle, but unmistakably joyful. His back scrapes against the grass, mouth open, tongue lolling, a sound escaping him that you don't recognize at first. It's a laugh, not metaphorical. Actual. Someone claps reflexively. Someone else covers their mouth. Maribel just watches, arms folded, eyes wet but unguarded. That clip goes farther than anything else you've posted. Not because it's dramatic, because it's normal. With the goal reached, questions pile up. What's next? Is he getting adopted? Will there be another dog? Can people visit? You hadn't planned for this part. You film an update sitting on a milk crate, dog at your feet, chewing contentedly on a donated toy. "We're figuring it out," you say honestly. Together. The word lands heavier now. Together means disagreement. A few people argue he should stay here, where he's known, where he belongs. Others worry about safety, about responsibility, about what happens if something goes wrong. "He's proof," someone says. "Why would we give that up? He's not a symbol," someone else snaps. "He's a living thing." The debate stretches late into the night. The dog drifts from group to group, leaning into knees, accepting scratches, resting his chin wherever it's offered. He doesn't understand the words, but he feels the tension. His tail slows. You notice. You always notice now. Outside attention grows. A local news outlet emails. A nonprofit offers partnership. Someone suggests a formal fundraiser, branding, merchandise. You show Maribel the messages. She reads them slowly, jaw set. "They want a story," she says, "not a process." You think of the alley, the smell, the first bowl of food. "They weren't here for that," you reply. "No," she agrees, "and that matters." You draft a response together, polite, firm, declining for now. Not everyone agrees. A man who's been quiet through most of this finally speaks up. "We could use that money," he says, "for other things." He's not wrong. The silence that follows is complicated. The dog lies down between you all, head resting on Maribel's boot. His breathing is deep, steady, unbothered by hypotheticals. You realize then that the dog has become a mirror. Everyone sees something different reflected back at them. Hope, proof, fear of loss, fear of change. The tension peaks the day the adoption question becomes unavoidable. A family reaches out quietly. They followed every update. They live nearby. They're not wealthy, but stable. They offer vet references, patience, a fenced yard. You bring it to the group. No filming, just voices. Some react immediately. Others withdraw. One woman stands up and walks away, shoulders tight. Maribel doesn't speak at first. She watches the dog instead as he struggles briefly with a new trick someone's teaching him. Sit, stay, release. He gets it wrong twice. Right on the third try. Rewarded. That's the point, she says finally. All eyes turn to her. We didn't do this to keep him, she continues. We did it to prove we could give something what it needs, even if that means letting it go. The words settle slowly, painfully. That night, you sit beside the dog long after everyone else sleeps. His body is solid now, warm, alive in a way that feels almost miraculous compared to the alley. You rest your forehead briefly against his. Whatever happens, you whisper, you changed this place. He sighs, content, unaware of the weight he carries. The final vet check comes back clean, strong enough, stable. The adoption meeting is scheduled. You film packing his things, the notebook, now thick with entries, the ramp someone insists he take, the battered toy from the grass. On the morning of the meeting, the community gathers without being asked. No speeches, just presence. The dog senses something is different. He circles, tail moving faster than usual, energy humming beneath his skin. As the family approaches, he pauses, looks back. At Maribel! At you! At the space that raised him! For a moment, no one breathes. Then he steps forward. You don't know yet if this is an ending or a beginning. You only know that whatever comes next will test whether the transformation you documented can survive without its centerpiece. The space feels wrong without him. You notice it immediately. The second the family's car disappears around the corner, the cleared concrete looks larger, emptier. The heater hums to itself, unnecessary in the afternoon warmth. The water bowl sits untouched, reflecting a slice of gray sky like an accusation. No one says goodbye properly. There was hugging, yes, promises to visit, a final photo that everyone agreed not to post right away. But no ritual exists for this kind of ending when something leaves not because it failed, but because it succeeded. Maribel stands with her hands on her hips, staring at the place where the dog used to sleep. Well, she says finally, that happened. Someone laughs too sharply. Someone else nods like they're agreeing with a thought they don't want to finish. You don't film any of this. Your phone stays dark in your pocket, heavy as a brick. The days that follow are harder than the early ones. Back then, exhaustion had purpose. Now there's a hollow where urgency used to live. Routines unravel without the dog to anchor them. Walk schedules dissolve. The rehab chart is taken down, leaving a rectangle of cleaner concrete behind. People still show up. They just don't know why they're there. A woman who used to log meals sits on her crate, hands idle. The teenager who walked him kicks at a pebble, restless. Someone asks if there are any updates, then remembers there's nothing to update anymore. You try to fill the gap with content. You post a thank you video. You share a photo the family sends, him on a couch, head lolling off the edge, legs stretched comfortably. He looks impossibly at ease. The comments are kind. They don't fix the ache. Maribel finds you staring at the photo longer than necessary. You okay? She asks. You nod, then shake your head. I thought this part would feel like relief, you admit. She snorts softly. Relief is overrated. Tension creeps in sideways. The money left over because careful planning left some becomes a question mark no one wants to draw attention to, but everyone feels. A few voices suggest using it immediately. Others argue it should be saved. A couple of people stop coming around altogether. Without the dog, the story loses focus. Without the story, some people lose interest. You start filming again, quietly, documenting the absence, the empty bowl, the unused ramp, the way conversations circle without landing. You don't add music. You don't explain. You let the discomfort breathe. The first real crack comes 2 weeks later. A disagreement over something small, storage space maybe, escalates too fast. Voices rise. Old grievances slip into the open, sharp and familiar. All that work, someone snaps. For what? The words hit harder than intended. Maribel steps in before you can. For proof, she says. That we can finish something, another voice fires back. Finish doesn't mean it stays. Silence slams down. You realize then how much the dog absorbed, how much conflict he diffused just by existing among them, by giving everyone a shared direction. Without him, they have to face each other again. That night, you get a message from the family, a short video. You hesitate before opening it. The dog is in their backyard, moving faster than you've ever seen him. Not perfectly, but freely. His leg holds. His tail is a blur. He pauses, looks directly at the camera, head tilting slightly. The woman filming laughs. I think he's asking about you. You feel something give way in your chest. You share the video the next day, gathering people before you do. No speech, just the screen. The reaction is quieter than you expect. Not grief, recognition. He's okay, someone says softly. Yeah, Maribel agrees. Because we did it right. The tension doesn't vanish, but it loosens. A week later, a man you barely know approaches you, eyes downcast. There's another one, he says. You stiffen. Another dog? He nods. Different spot. Worse shape. You don't answer immediately. You look around. At the people, at the space that once revolved around a single fragile heartbeat. Maribel watches you closely. We don't have to, she says, voice low. That's important. You think of the alley, the first bowl of food, the notebook filling page by page. You think of the absence and what it taught you. Not yet, you say finally, but maybe soon. That answer is enough, for now. That night, as you lie awake, the city sounds press in again. Familiar, unchanged, except you are. The dog is gone. The proof remains. Change is easy when it has a heartbeat. That's what you're learning now. Without the dog, nothing tells you where to stand or what to fix first. There's no schedule taped to the wall demanding consistency, no body to gather around. Just people and the habits they either keep or don't. The first week after the video from the family, things stabilize, not improve, stabilize. People sweep because sweeping has become normal. The lights stay up. The shared jar doesn't disappear. Someone even refills it without telling anyone. You film these moments quietly, from the edges, hands cleaning. Someone teaching another person how to log expenses properly. A disagreement that ends without raised voices. None of it feels cinematic, which makes you nervous. The real test arrives disguised as opportunity. A representative from a mid-sized nonprofit shows up unannounced one afternoon. Clipboard, branded jacket, friendly smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. I've been following your project, they say, scanning the space. Very compelling. You hear the word project land wrong. Maribel stands beside you, arms loose at her sides. Neutral, ready. We're interested in replicating this model, the rep continues, but with more structure, oversight, metrics. You almost laugh. Almost. What kind of structure, you ask instead? They gesture vaguely. Formal leadership, defined beneficiaries, clear branding. Maribel tilts her head. And who decides? The rep smiles wider. We guide the process. Guide. You feel something tighten in your gut. You film the conversation, not obviously, but not hidden either. Transparency has become instinct. We didn't do this to be guided, Maribel says calmly. We did it to see if we could guide ourselves. The rep nods, still smiling. Of course. But sustainability requires expertise. The word hangs there, around you. People listen, quiet, alert. You realize this is the moment. Not a rescue, not a vet bill. This. You glance at the jar, at the ledger, at the cleared space that once held a dog and now holds something more fragile. We'll talk about it, you say. As a group. The rep hesitates, then nods. Of course. They leave behind a card. No one reaches for it. The meeting that night is the hardest one yet. No dog to soften the edges. No external crisis to unite everyone. Just the question of control. Some argue partnership means resources, safety, longevity. Others hear ownership slipping through fingers that fought to hold it in the first place. Voices rise, fall, rise again. You don't moderate, you document. At one point, someone asks you directly what you think. Your mouth goes dry. This was never supposed to be about you, but you answer anyway. I think, you say slowly, that the reason this worked is because nobody came in to save us. And I'm afraid if someone does now, we'll forget what we already proved. Silence spreads, not agreement, consideration. Maribel breaks it. We're not saying no forever, she says. We're saying not until we decide what we are without a mascot. The word stings. Mascot. Accurate. Days pass. The nonprofit follows up politely, persistently. You don't respond right away. Instead, something unexpected happens. The teenager who used to walk the dog brings a notebook of his own. He's been tracking cleanup shifts. Who shows up? Who doesn't? No judgment, just data. A woman suggests using leftover funds to fix the heater wiring properly. Someone else offers to coordinate supply runs. Roles begin to form. Not assigned, claimed. You film a meeting where people argue over details that would have seemed impossible months ago. Budgets, schedules, accountability. It's messy, it's real. The call from the family comes on a quiet morning. They put you on speaker. The dog is snoring audibly in the background. You smile before you realize you are. He's doing great, they say. We wanted you to know. He waits by the door around the time you used to post updates. You swallow. He still likes routine, Maribel says softly. The family laughs. Seems like he taught us that. After the call, you don't rush to share the news. You sit with it, because the lesson has changed. It's not about what the dog became, it's about what stayed after he left. The nonprofit emails again. This time, Maribel replies. Short, clear. We appreciate the interest. We're still defining ourselves. We'll reach out if and when partnership aligns with our values. She shows you before sending it. You nod. She hits send. No applause follows, just a collective exhale. That night, as you review footage, something becomes obvious. The story no longer has a single center. The camera drifts naturally now, from person to person, from action to action. The absence of the dog has forced a wider lens. You realize this is the climax you didn't anticipate. Not a rescue, a refusal, the choice to remain authors of their own care. And as you fall asleep, the thought settles in, steady and certain. If this holds, if this fragile, unbranded, unowned thing survives, then the transformation was never about a single life saved. It was about learning how not to disappear again. The attention comes anyway. You don't invite it. You don't announce anything. But stories like this don't stay quiet forever. Not when they contradict too many assumptions at once. It starts small. A repost from someone you don't know. A short caption, this wasn't charity, this was community. Then another, then someone tags a local council account. Someone else tags a journalist who actually lives nearby, not one who parachutes in for tragedy. You wake up to messages stacked so tightly your phone lags when you unlock it. Requests, questions, praise that feels too loud this early in the morning. You don't answer any of them. Instead, you grab your jacket and head down under the overpass, heart thudding with a nervous energy you haven't felt since the alley. You're afraid of what you'll find. The space is already awake. Someone is sweeping. Someone else is setting up a folding table with papers laid out neatly, expense logs, schedules, a hand-drawn map of who's responsible for what this week. No dog, still functioning. You film your feet stopping at the edge of the cleared area. You tilt the camera up slowly. People glance at you, then back to what they're doing. No one performs. No one asks what this footage is for. That's when it hits you. This is the shot, not the alley, not the grass, not the before and after. This, the absence that didn't collapse everything. The journalist shows up later that day. No cameraman, no boom mic, just a notebook and eyes that actually look. I don't want a rescue story, she says up front. I want to understand the structure. Maribel nods once. Good. You filmed the conversation openly. They talk about systems, about how money was tracked, about why decisions were made collectively, even when it was slower and messier. The journalist asks about the dog. Everyone smiles. He was the catalyst, someone says. Not the solution. You feel something settle into place when you hear it phrased that way. Mid-interview, a familiar car pulls up at the edge of the street. You recognize it instantly. The family steps out. And then, the dog. For half a second, your brain refuses to process what you're seeing. He's bigger now, stronger. His coat catches the light, rich and healthy. His leg still carries its history, but it doesn't define his movement anymore. He spots you, his ears lift, and then he runs. Not awkward, not careful, straight toward the space that once saved him. People gasp. Someone laughs, someone drops what they're holding. You forget every rule you've learned about steady filming. The footage shakes as he barrels past you, tail whipping, body a blur of joy. He weaves through legs, leaps clumsily at familiar hands, presses his weight into Maribel so hard she stumbles back a step. Hey, she scolds, voice breaking. You're supposed to be civilized now. He ignores her completely. The journalist stands frozen, notebook forgotten. What is this? She whispers. Maribel doesn't look away from the dog. This, she says, is the proof coming back to visit. The dog settles eventually, panting hard, flopping down in the middle of everything like he owns it. No one moves him. Children appear from nowhere, sitting nearby, careful not to overwhelm him. He accepts their presence with practiced ease, eyes half closed, tail tapping the ground. You catch the moment his gaze lifts to the camera. Not confused, not wary, grounded, as if he recognizes what you're doing and approves. The journalist closes her notebook slowly. I think, she says, this story tells itself. The piece runs 3 days later. No dramatic headline, no pity framing, just facts, process, quotes from people who were never supposed to be experts in anything. The response is different this time. No rush to donate, no savior language. Messages asking how to replicate the method, not adopt the symbol. You bring them to the group, print it out, lay it on the table. What do we do with this? Someone asks. Maribel looks at the dog, now asleep again, belly rising and falling steadily. We answer honestly, she says. And we don't rush. The The dog wakes briefly, stretches, then limps just slightly toward the exit. The family stands, ready. He pauses at the edge of the space, looks back. This time, no one holds their breath, because the meaning of the moment has changed. He leaves knowing where he came from. You lower the camera. You already have what you need. The discovery isn't about visibility anymore. It's about permanence, and you realize, with a quiet certainty that feels earned, the transformation is complete. What comes next isn't a reveal, it's a continuation. Endings don't announce themselves. They slip in quietly, disguised as routine. Weeks pass after the article runs, and nothing explodes. No flood of outsiders, no sudden collapse under attention. Just a slow, deliberate adjustment as the community learns how to hold something steady without tightening its grip too hard. You keep filming! Not because you're chasing a climax anymore, because this quiet maintenance is the point most stories never bother to show. The ledger gets upgraded, not digitized, refined. Columns become clearer, notes more precise. The teenager who started tracking cleanup shifts now teaches someone else how to do it, explaining patiently why consistency matters more than perfection. You film his hands as he draws lines with a ruler salvaged from a backpack. I mess up sometimes, he admits, not looking at the camera, but if I write it down, it doesn't disappear. The sentence lands heavier than he realizes. The space evolves. A second heater gets installed safely, this time with proper insulation. Someone paints a mural on the far wall, not of a dog, but of overlapping hands, different sizes, reaching toward the same center. You film the progress over several days, paint drying in uneven patches, colors deepening as the sun shifts overhead. No one asks for permission, they ask for input. The dog comes back once more. No announcement, just a familiar car idling at the curb. He steps out slower this time, calmer, confidence settled into his bones. He walks the perimeter like an inspector, sniffing, tail moving in a relaxed arc. He finds you sitting on a crate, reviewing footage. Without hesitation, he presses his head into your thigh. You rest your hand on his neck automatically. No rush, no ache, just recognition. The family chats with Maribel nearby, discussing vet checkups, favorite toys, the way he insists on sleeping where he can see the door. He still waits, they say, but not anxiously, like he knows something good comes next. You nod. You understand that kind of waiting now. That evening, someone asked the question you've all been circling. So, what is this? They ask, gesturing around. No one answers right away. Maribel considers the space, the people, the systems that now run without her constant oversight. It's a sanctuary, she says finally. Someone frowns. For dogs. She smiles faintly. For dignity, the word settles. You film reactions, not faces, but posture, the way shoulders straighten, the way a few people nod, slow and thoughtful. You start assembling the final cut, not a highlight reel, a timeline. You layer early footage, the alley, the ribs, the first bowl against later scenes of meetings, repairs, shared responsibility. You let the dog fade from center frame gradually, replaced by people doing the unglamorous work of care. The last shot you choose surprises you. It's the empty water bowl, not abandoned, clean, ready. On the night you screen the rough cut for the community, no one speaks for a long time afterward. Then the woman who cooks special meals clears her throat. We did that, she says. No one corrects her. You realize the story no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the people who lived it. Later, lying awake, you think back to the alley, to the way the dog barely lifted his head, to how impossible everything felt then. You didn't save him, you helped him be saved, and in doing so, you witnessed something rarer than a transformation montage. You watched a group of people rewrite how they see themselves, not as invisible, not as recipients of care, but as its source. Tomorrow, you'll finish the final cut. One more part remains. Not to prove anything. You return to the alley alone, not because you need footage, because you need to remember. The city sounds the same as it did 6 months ago. Traffic snarls. A siren rises and falls. Somewhere above, someone laughs, careless and free. Down here, the air is still damp, still heavy with old smells that cling to concrete no matter how many times it rains. You stand where you first crouched. You hold the camera at chest level, not recording yet, just breathing, letting the space speak without interruption. There's no dog pressed against the wall now, no skeletal frame folded into shadow, just an empty corner in the faint outline where cardboard once lay. You press record! The final cut doesn't rush. It opens here, the alley, unchanged. Then it moves, not forward, but outward, hands pooling coins, someone counting aloud, the notebook filling page by page, a leg that steadies, a tail that learns to move again, the grass, the argument, the letting go. You don't narrate much. You let voices overlap, let imperfect sentences stand. I didn't think we could. I thought it would fail. I thought nobody would care. The footage answers without words. The screening happens at dusk under the overpass, a sheet strung between two pillars, a borrowed projector humming softly. People gather with practiced ease, sitting where they always do, but differently now, more settled, less guarded. The dog is there too. Lying beside the family, chin on his paws, eyes half-lidded but alert, he recognizes sounds from the speakers. Your voice from months ago, thinner, unsure. He lifts his head briefly, then relaxes again. You watch him while the film plays. You watch the people watching him. No one cries loudly. No one claps at the end. The silence that follows is full, not empty. Finally, Maribel steps forward. She doesn't face the crowd. She faces the alley. We didn't become a sanctuary because someone rescued us, she says. We became one because we proved we could keep something alive. She turns then, eyes sweeping the group. And because we didn't disappear when it was hard. People nod. Someone exhales a laugh that sounds like relief. Later, as the crowd thins, the family prepares to leave. The dog stands, stretches, then pauses. He walks back toward the center of the space one last time. Not frantic, not torn. He moves with certainty. He presses his head into Maribel's hip, leans briefly against your leg, lets a child wrap their arms around his neck for exactly 3 seconds before stepping away. Then he turns and walks back to the car. This time, no one watches him go with fear. They watch with pride. You upload the final video the next morning. No donation link, no call to action, just the title. From Starving to Sanctuary, the rescue. Nobody filmed. The response is slower than before, deeper. Messages don't ask how to help. They ask how to listen, how to trust people with their own care, how to step back without abandoning. You answer what you can. You leave the rest with the people who taught you. Weeks later, the alley is still just an alley, but the space beneath the overpass hums with quiet purpose. Schedules rotate, decisions get debated, small conflicts rise and resolve without exploding. There is no mascot now, and somehow, that's the proof. You sit on your crate one evening, camera off, watching the lights flicker on as the sun dips below the buildings. The city presses in from all sides, but it no longer feels like it's closing. You think of the dog, of how he learned to trust step by step, of how recovery wasn't a leap, but 1,000 measured choices. You smile, because the truth finally settles, simple and unshakable. The rescue nobody filmed wasn't just his, it was theirs.